They don't see it as we do, partially because a city like Denver isn't technically in the Colorado River Basin. A city like Denver is in the Platte River Basin. They're importing all their water from the Colorado River, and they're importing it from the headwaters. And I think this river system being almost 2,000 miles long, it sluices, it slices, it dices, it goes through so many different types of geologies and ecologies until it meets its end in the Sea of Cortez. And it's easy to uh, underthink the journey of the river. And I think a lot of folks in other communities, whether it be Denver or Salt Lake, where they import Colorado River water into their communities, they feel an entitlement to it, but their understanding of the complexities of the river system are lost because they don't have a bathtub ring like we have. And they can't necessarily go to Lake Mead in an afternoon and see that the place that was the spot where they once launched their boat is now gone.
Finally, though, we've talked a lot about upper versus lower basin, but and you mentioned Los Angeles, but there's also Arizona. Can Nevada representatives go to the other states on the river and say, "We did our part. Where's your part?"
Yeah, exactly. And I think more than anything, that is what they are saying to the upper basin states, to Utah, to Colorado, to Wyoming and New Mexico. I think Arizona, they have the most draconian cuts ahead because of just where they stand in the priority list. California has done a lot better. Los Angeles has done a lot better, and the farmers are really getting on board. I think the efficiency investments have been really helpful, in addition to the big winters the past couple of years. But Nevada's standing and Nevada's position on the Colorado River is the one of the responsible adult in the room, is the one that says, hey, look what we can do with the smallest share on the river. Nevada is the shining example, and I think that's why it's got to be frustrating when you're dealing with Denver or communities in Utah that want to take more and more when they're not even meeting the gold standard yet on being efficient with what they have. And I think everybody knows that they can already do more with what they have. And we've proven that in Las Vegas. And I think what Nevada is asking everybody, every other water user, is do more with what you have before you try and chase this fallacy that there's more water available. And that's why our organization is wanting to showcase and highlight to other communities that entities in states like Colorado and Utah and Wyoming want to take more water out of a system that doesn't exist. And for those of us in the lower basin, that is a really, really scary prospect. And, aside from that water not existing, they need to be doing better with what they already have because we know one thing. We've lost 20% of flows on the Colorado River since the year 2000, and the best scientists say that we're likely to lose another 20%. We're not just asking communities to do more with what they have. I think what makes Nevada so great is that we're actually asking them to prepare for a drier future that they don't want to come to grips with yet. But if they listen to us, if they hear us, if they make the investments, they're going to be putting their communities in a better position. And so that's really important in the grand scheme of things. An investment now will have a big payoff later. And so yeah, there's a lot of misunderstanding about there out there about what the river system is and what it isn't. But I think the biggest issue from a municipal perspective is that communities have just always seen an abundance of water. They've mispriced water in ways that Las Vegas got ahead of that 30 or 40 years ago. They began to get ahead of it. There have been some bumps in the road and we've worked through that as a community. But with the other communities, plain and simple, are just lagging and they haven't made the right types of investments. And these are expensive investments to get a water recycling regime like we have in place in Las Vegas is hundreds of millions of dollars. Now, a few years ago in the major infrastructure bill, Congress funded water recycling programs for Los Angeles, which really needed to get up to speed with Las Vegas. Now, I think the next challenge we have ahead as a basin is figuring out how to get more taxpayer funded major recycling programs in a city like Salt Lake, in a city like Denver, in a city like Albuquerque. We're just not there yet. They're going to need the help. They're not going to have some of the programmatic funding measures that we have in Las Vegas, largely SNPLMA, the Southern Nevada Public Lands Management Act. But we're going to have to figure out a way to make that happen because municipal providers aren't going to be quick to tack on a new billion-dollar project in a given community without some additional federal resources. It's for better or for worse. That's the way that I see it having to come into fruition. And I think what's happening in Los Angeles is a really good example where Los Angeles is going to recycle more of its water. And then Nevada's going to get a share of that. And that's really exciting.
And when representatives of Southern Nevada go to the table, they go to these meetings that they're having right now. They go to these whether public facing events or you know back behind the scenes kind of discussions. For Nevada's standpoint, is there anything more that can be done here? There is a lot of recycling that goes on. Obviously, there's so many conservation efforts, the turf removals, and all of that. We've done we had our guys